This is Seymour Rocks reporting from down under. Before Christmas, I was talking in terms of detoxification, but it's amazing how things change in a short period of time because uh, sometime between Christmas and New Year, courtesy of Jacinda, COVID walked through the door uh, after a visit, not by me, to the Wellington Wildlife Centre, otherwise known as Zealandia, which is now frequented, um, thanks to Jacinda, by many people uh, uh, from cruise ships in Wellington, and so that seems to be where it came from. Both Pam and I got quite unwell, as with another friend who was with Pam on the day. Uh, Unfortunately, in the last sort of day or so, largely because of my pre-existing condition, which ain't that great, uh, it's gone onto my chest. So I've been doing everything that I possibly could to treat it, and then yesterday my prayers were answered in the form of two angels that came down off the hill uh, with medicine, a certain effective medicine that's suppressed by the mainstream medicine. Uh, so that was a very, very kind thing, and I'll be forever um, grateful. And I'm not attached to the outcome. People will say, "Well, we'll pray for for your recovery," but what does recovery mean? Does it mean that I'll leap back to where I was a week or 10 days ago? I have my doubts. So anyway, that's where things stand. And I just want to talk about one other thing that has to do with this. You'd probably be forgiven for not being aware of news out of China, because it hasn't exactly got huge coverage in the media, but there's a lot happening in China. China reversed their zero COVID policy a few weeks ago, and since then there have been huge numbers of people dying. There are queues outside the crematoria, and it's a bit of a disaster, but that is being sort of covered up by the Chinese media, and I would say largely by the Western media as well, because they don't really want to point too much attention to their own failings. And of course, people want to flee China any way they can, and the Chinese are going to free up travel out of China, and several countries have announced that they've brought in regulations so that passengers have to have a COVID test before they get on the plane, which is a bit of a useless exercise because what I know about China, people can just buy their test results. Anyway, so several countries, including Australia, the United States, Europe, right across the board, have brought this in. The Chinese have made threatening noises, and as far as I know, only one Western nation in the world has turned around and said, "We'll take you, come on in." And that, of course, is Jacinda Ardern's New Zealand. So I suspect, we're already getting COVID coming in off the cruise ships and God knows where else. And now we're going to have passengers arriving in numbers from China, and no doubt a lot of those Chinese will then fly on to Australia. So there's been almost nothing in the media, but I can see the writing on the wall. Isn't it amazing? For the first year, when we could have just let this rip through the population, we had 27 people who died with the disease, and then we had the very strict zero COVID policy, and then the thing was brought in, made mandatory, and then of course the numbers getting COVID and the people dying from it itself just went through the roof. And then in September, Jacinda let the whole thing go and said, we're not having a zero COVID policy, just let things happen as they will. And what we've got and what China's got is what happens when you try to suppress these things with things like zero COVID policies. You get an absolute disaster, and I suspect that we're moving into another phase of that now. So anyway, that's my news.